Hello again, Lucy. Are you ready to hear another story about the wonderful wasp? I bet you are, and I bet that Conrad and Caleb will listen along too. All right, let's go. This one is called The Magician and the Maiden. All right, we know the maiden is talking about the wonderful wasp. We'll find out more about the magician as our story goes along. All right, most big game hunters have trophy rooms, and our beautiful adventuress is no exception, for she hunts the most dangerous game of all, evildoers. She says, what a bizarre collection of colorful criminals. The porcupine, the human top, and all those other ruthless menaces were stuff headache pills are made for. But now, thanks to the giant man and his wonderful, enchanting, glamorous little partner, those obnoxious villains will menace society no longer, I hope. And yeah, you can see the porcupine, and here's the black knight and egghead and the top, and look at this guy in the middle. He's the magician. All right, and he's going to be the villain in this story. The radio says we interrupt this program to bring you a special bulletin. This morning, the master criminal known as the Magician escaped from the state prison. Roadblocks have been set up, and an all-points alarm has gone out. The Wasp says, now, why did old Tricky Fingers break out? Doesn't he know that Hank and I will simply capture him again and send him back to jail? But until we do capture him, I'll take his picture down. I've no right to hang a trophy while the quarry is free and loose. Like most of us, Jan listens to commercials with only half an ear. That is until, yes, ladies, this week Benson's department store is featuring Wasp-inspired fashions for women. They have scores of stunning outfits inspired by the chic costume of that famous heroine. And the Wasp says, say, I can hardly wait to see those clothes. Imagine designing them like my costume. Good thing I'm as modest as I am. Wonderful. Or this might give me a swelled head. I think her head is fairly swollen already, but still very cute. All right, but let us leave our modest heroine for a moment and turn our attention to Henry Pym. On the way to his lab, he has just heard the radio announcement of his formidable foe's prison break. Now that he's at large, it's a good bet the magician will seek revenge against Jan and myself. I must contact her at once to tell her to go to my lab and lie low there till the magician is caught. But I'm 40 miles from the nearest town and telephone. No cell phones back in those days. There's only one thing to do. Stopping his car, the worried scientist quickly writes a note. Then he removes a small instrument from the glove compartment. He says, good thing I carry a spare cybernetic transmitter. I'll contact those winged ants and use them as flying postmen. Okay, so he's got flying ants, and he has a note, and minutes later, as Janet Van Dyne is leaving her apartment, she says, I'll just scurry over to Benson's to see their wasp-inspired fashions. Say, leaving a window open in this town, and there's no telling what will float in. But of course, every window in the Marvel Universe is always left open for some strange reason. In this case, so flying ants can enter in. Wait! That scrap of paper isn't floating. It's being carried by flying ants. It must be a message from the big man. She reads the note. Jan, the magician is at large again. Go to my lab and remain there for your safety. I'll see you soon, Hank. And she says, "Oh, I love Hank for caring, but sometimes he's a worrywart. He does not realize that I can handle myself. I'm not the least bit scared of the magician. I'm going to Benson's department store." Sounds like a commercial herself. I like being a famous celebrity, but I don't enjoy being grabbed, pawed, and screamed at by my overzealous fans. However, with this civilian disguise over my costume, no one is apt to recognize me. And a moment later, Jan beams with female pride as she views a stunning tribute to her nationwide fame. She thinks, "Look at all the gowns, coats, sport clothes, all inspired by my Wasp costume. Golly, I've been immortalized by the fashion industry." And to a gal, that almost equals being carved on Mount Rushmore. All right, look at the swimsuit and the wings and this evening gown, this ski outfit. But unknown to our elated heroine, an ominous figure is lurking in the shadows, furtively watching the nearby scene. And he thinks, by now the Wasp must be among those women. One so vain could never resist the temptation to come and see fashions that she inspired. I need wait no longer. I shall strike now. So there's the magician. What's he going to do? I merely wave my magic wand. Abracadabra, alakazam. And at the next incredible instant, I can't get out. This door won't open. Neither will this one. We're locked in the store. And then to top the unbelievable with the seeming impossible, go, my enchanted wand, float for the air, search among the customers, find the one your master seeks. And like a divining rod, the fantastic stick floats over the bewildered women, finally coming to rest above Jan. She looks up and she thinks, that floating wand is pointing at me. There's only one magician who could pull this stunt. I was right. It's him. He's found me out. And this woman says, he's that escaped convict, the magician. Another woman says, help, I'm going to faint. But the magician says, silence, females. I won't harm you. I'm only after that one meddlesome creature who calls herself the Wasp. And there she is, the Wasp. Yes, she and her oversized partner dealt me a crushing defeat during our last encounter, but now vengeance shall be mine. It was I who conceived the idea of Wasp fashions, and through outside sources arranged for this sale, all of it for the purpose of trapping my charming foe, as I have so neatly done. And then she says, I'm not trapped yet, chum. Just one capsule, and away we go. A futile gesture, Wasp, for no matter how tiny you become, I'll be able to see you through these opto-ray magnifying glasses. You'll never be out of my sight. Never out of your sight, huh? How romantic, says the Wasp. But that's not why I shrank. This is my battle size, as you'll know when you feel my sting. And so the Wasp now has developed a sting for her opponents. But just as the tiny costume figure fires a stunning burst of compressed air, the magician produces a silk cloth from his sleeve. Behold how the hand is quicker than the eye. And the Wasp realizes, your cloth absorbed the full force of the air burst. Round one goes to you. Round two will be mine also, as soon as I get my hands on you. And then the Wasp says, ever try catching a flying gal before? Believe me, it's easier said than done. Don't worry, you're one fly girl who's about to be grounded. And Look, he scatters some powder. Just an old family formula for putting smart aleck meddlers in their place, as you'll soon see. His powder is all over my wings. It makes them feel so heavy I can hardly lift them. I can't stay aloft. No longer able to fly, the quick-thinking wasp glides as she descends, glides to the toy department, and lands in a tiny electric-powered car. The magician says, "You can't fly. You're helpless. This is my moment of triumph." And the wasp thinks, "I mustn't let him get his grubby hands on me. I have to keep moving fast, even if it's only in circles. This toy car better start working as soon as I throw the switch." It did. "It will take more than a child's plaything to save you," threatens the magician. "I'll swat you as I would—" What? I missed. Again and again the magician strikes as his tiny foe, but each time I keep missing. It's these blasted glasses. Their magnification throws my sense of timing off. The wasp says, "Maybe you need an eye exam. Why don't you see a doctor? Like right now?" "I've had enough of your wisecracks. I'm through playing games. Your free ride is over, and it's the last you'll ever take." So he strikes with his wand, and the wasp thinks, "He smashed the motor. The car had stopped. I better think of something fast, or I'm a goner. I can't fly with all this powder still stuck to my wings, but I can glide again down over to the escalator." The magician says, "That's right, Wasp, flee. Your situation is hopeless, but you're too brainless to realize it." A clever move, Wasp, but it won't work. Hiding between the ridges of an escalator step won't save you from the magician. But she thinks, "This time it's not safety I'm after, chum. I need a battle site that's more advantageous to me, and I've found it." And the magician says, "It's not easy while poised on a moving escalator to reach down and seize a tiny object. But the magician can do anything. I'll just have to reach slowly, carefully." And just as the relentless hunter strikes at his tiny prey, the wasp thinks, "I made it. Now from this height, I can fire my air sting at the correct angle. And I can jam his cloak down between the escalator steps and the side railing." So she shoots out her wasp sting, and look, it pushes the cloak into the escalator and traps him. He says, "What?" The escalator has stopped. The cloak must have gotten entangled in some gears underneath and jammed them. And the magician says, "Blasted cloak, I can't get loose." Rushing over to a toy robot on display, the wasp operates it through its remote control panel, making the automaton walk to a nearby counter. It's responding perfectly to my control, extending its arm and opening its hand to pick up those jump ropes. Okay, see, it's got jump ropes. Lucy, who else do we know that has a jump rope? Well, the wasp is using a jump rope in this story. And a few minutes later, our tiny heroine puts the automaton through a more sophisticated maneuver. And the magician says, "No tin toy is going to tie me up. I'll smash it to bits, but I can't reach it." The wasp says, "That's a crying shame, big bad buddy. I'll send you a letter of condolence." And so the wasp is using the toy robot to tie up the magician. Having bound her foe securely, the wasp then stings the store's electric release button, unlocking all the doors. Ping! Hey, what happened in the store? Why was it locked? I don't know what was going on in there, but look, and here comes a policeman. Well, if this doesn't beat all. the great magician himself, bound and helpless as a baby, the Wasp says, and delivered into the waiting arms of the law by the friendly Wasp carting company. And so the Wasp continues to use the robot not only to tie up the magician, but to bring him along to the police. It's ironic. The magician's vanity demanded revenge for the defeat he suffered from Giant Man and me, but instead he's now received an even more humiliating defeat than last time. His self-esteem may never recover. Well, I guess that's one loss the world can bear. Later, at Henry Pym's laboratory, Jan is warmly greeted by the man she loves. Hank says, "I was worried, honey, but at last you're here, where I know you'll be safe until the magician is captured." And she thinks, that means he hasn't heard the news yet. "I was worried too, but now that you're here, Hank." "That's it, darling. Hold me tight. I love being in your arms. They're so strong and capable, and I'll always need them to protect weak little me." And she winks at us. She thinks she's so clever. All right, y'all. Well, that's the end of this Wasp story. And that's all the Wasp stories that I know about for now, but I'll keep looking. But I have more Fantastic Four stories to tell you, and later on I'll have more stories with both the Wasp and Giant Man. There's so many stories I have to tell, I'll never run out. So y'all enjoy this one, and I'll be with you soon with another one. Love y'all. Mwah. Bye-bye.